Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the film The Diane Linkletter Story from 1970. And this is continuing my quest to review all of the films directed by John Waters. This is a short film that he made in 1970 to test out his new film camera that could record sound. And it really was just because he had gotten it that day and Diane Linkletter had jumped out of a window, and it had actually just been reported and hit the press that day, that they made the film this way. It really isn't kind of an evolution of anything to do with his style or anything like that. It's just one of the films that he made, and it's kind of another example of me being a completionist in terms of watching everything that Waters has ever done. With the Diane Linkletter Story, to kind of explain what the deal is with Diane Linkletter, her father was Art Linkletter, and they had made a song called We Love You, Call Collect, and it's this daughter who's run off with some hippies or something, and this dad giving her advice and how, she should call home and things like that. I didn't actually listen to the song, but Art Linkletter was kind of a very conservative family kind of TV show host. He was, I think, the original host for Kids Say the Darndest Things. I actually thought that was Cosby's show, but I guess he was not the original host. And when Diane Linkletter jumped out the window, they actually blamed it on LSD, and that was kind of a popular thing in the 70s. If you took LSD or acid, you'd jump out the window. Nobody talks about that one anymore, but it was a thing. And then toxicology reports came back and turned out she did not have LSD in her system. When the Nixon tapes became available, John Waters said that apparently there is a tape of Art Linkletter and Nixon kind of conspiring that they should blame her death on Timothy Leary and all sorts of creepy stuff like that. And you could say making a film about someone who had just died was tasteless, but it wasn't nearly as tasteless as Art Linkletter certainly was. Just saying his daughter died because of LSD for purely political reasons is also very creepy and in bad taste. I kind of look at it as they needed to test this camera. That's what they were all talking about. And so they made a short testing out this camera about the thing they were all talking about. And none of the dialogue is written by John Waters. On the Wikipedia it says written by John Waters, but he didn't actually write it. Maybe a loose plot structure that he told them or something, but it's basically just David Lochary and Mary and Vivian Pierce improving and talking about how their daughter, Diane Linkletter, who's played by Divine, hasn't shown up yet and how they've been waiting up all night for her to come home. And then she comes home and Divine, not looking really like Divine at all, but trying to do her best impersonation, I guess, of Diane Linkletter. And then they have an argument, she goes up to her room, and then she jumps out the window. That's the whole movie, basically. And you can actually watch it on YouTube, or at least you can at this point. I'll leave a link to the video in the description, but it's just them fucking around and having a good time. With a lot of Waters' work, he didn't go to film school, but you just feel like these are kind of like film school type shorts. And this is what I look at as, if you're in film school, there's always a short you make where everyone's just kind of fucking around, and then you're like, I don't know, this is alright, let's play it in class anyway. That's kind of what the Diane Linkletter Story was. It did play in the Maryland Film Festival. It did actually get reviewed in the Baltimore Sun, I believe. I think the critics said it wasn't as tasteless as the Art Linkletter song. It was basically just them fucking around, and they made this quick little short and kept the Dreamlanders around and kept them in the consciousness while they eventually went on to make their first sound film, Multiple Maniacs. I really don't think it's essential unless you're a real fan. It's kind of in the same vein as Mondo Trasho in the fact that it's really there for just completionists. I still think Eat Your Makeup is the better short. This is at least kind of enjoyable and short enough that you're not going to get too sick of it or too bored by it. It wasn't like the greatest thing in the world, and it's not like the Waters kind of dialogue. You can tell Lochary and Mary Vivian Pierce aren't the greatest improvisers in the world. Some of the scenes go on way too long. There's not really that much editing in it at all. I mean, it was a camera test. You have to look at it as a camera test. I've watched camera tests from famous movies and DPs I like, and this is probably one of my more favorite camera tests I watched. So if that's a genre, I guess. It's just fun to see that gang hanging out in that era, and that's kind of how I view it, basically. Just fun watching them all fuck around and do something different for one day, and hey, we did this, and then they probably did something else for the rest of the day. And then supposedly they had it all edited and done, and they even showed it somewhere before Diane Linkletter's funeral, which I don't know if that's true, but that sounds like them, really. I think it's become more well known because it was on a VHS called A Divine Double Feature. This was first, and then a recording of Divine in an off-Broadway show, and so it's kind of become more infamous for that, and it probably has a better reputation than it really deserves. I think in his filmography with something like Hag in a Black Leather Jacket or Roman Candles, where it's an interesting little experiment. It's a funny little thing, but no one was really trying their hardest. John Waters even says Divine has a 5 o'clock shadow in it. It really just isn't really them at the top of their game, but it's always fun to watch the Dreamlanders and John Waters just fuck around. And if this is the result, it's not half bad. So if you have seen the Diane Linkletter Story and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And check out my John Waters review playlist. The annotation will be below. Isn't that many reviews now that I've done the Diane Linkletter Story, but you can check out my reviews of his previous 3 short films and Mondo Trasho. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.